Tonight, war plans. More American troops on the move, plus new information about Osama bin Laden's chemical and nuclear threat. NBC's Terrorism Task Force tonight. The ringleader's will, his final wishes, and the money trail, new evidence leading back to the Middle East. Who really paid for this attack? In depth, our special all-day NBC News effort. How prepared are you if terrorists strike again? What, if anything, can you do to protect your family? And keeping dreams alive, a father, a son, and a wish come true after the tragedy of September 11th.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's now been almost 3 weeks since the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and tonight, President Bush is saying that progress is being made on all fronts. But the big questions: where is Osama bin Laden? When and how will military action be launched? Those questions remain unanswered tonight as more Americans are on the move toward Afghanistan and the surrounding area. We begin with NBC's Jim Miklashevsky, who's at his post at the Pentagon. Jim?
Tom, tonight, one of the clearest indications yet, the U.S. is preparing for an unconventional special operations war, fought more on the ground than in the air. The U.S. aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk leaves Japan, but her decks are bare. She's carrying no warplanes. Sources report the Kitty Hawk could become a floating airbase to launch special forces troops like these and to medevac any American casualties. And tonight, Russian TV claims this is an American military cargo plane landing in a base in Uzbekistan, a possible staging area for American troops. At a ceremony today for the outgoing chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Hugh Shelton, a hint that a shooting war may not be far off.
As I leave office, I'm proud to report that America's military is ready.
The hour is coming when America will act, and you will make us proud.
But ready for what? U.S. officials report the Pentagon is still working on plans to attack Afghanistan, aimed at Osama bin Laden and his terrorist organization. But the fear is how bin Laden may respond. U.S. officials say there's evidence he could launch a chemical or biological attack against American targets at home or abroad. That bin Laden was experimenting with chemical weapons at this training camp outside Jalalabad, and that he tried to obtain enough uranium to make a small conventional bomb to spread deadly radiation. It's not clear bin Laden has in fact developed such weapons, but experts warn that widespread fear and panic could be far worse than any actual casualties.
It's more a weapon of mass disruption than mass destruction.
And as of tonight, it still appears the Pentagon doesn't have enough fresh intelligence to pinpoint bin Laden himself. And as the U.S. military prepares to take action, one Pentagon official admits this may be the hardest thing we've ever done. Tom?
NBC's Jim Miklashevsky tonight. We'll have a special report later in depth on what Americans can do, if anything, to protect themselves and their families from these biological threats. That's in depth later. And the United States will not be going it alone. Administration officials confirm that America will provide aid not only to the Northern Alliance, but to other groups in Afghanistan fighting against the Taliban. NBC's Tom Aspel is in Afghanistan for us again tonight with more on the developments in that area. Tom?
Tom, the Northern Alliance wants its share of the aid pledged by President Bush to fight the Taliban to include helicopters, tanks, APCs, and artillery. Opposition groups based in the south of the country are likely to ask for the same weapons. Mobility will be the key in the battles they want to fight. President Bush also approved an increase in aid for Afghan refugees to bring the total up to $200 million. Today, international aid agencies renewed deliveries of emergency food to Afghanistan. A convoy reached the northeast part of the country, where fighting between the Taliban and opposition groups has been steadily increasing. The UN says up to 12 million people are in desperate need of supplies. More than 1 million could face starvation if they don't receive food in the coming weeks. Reports from Kabul today say the Taliban have reinforced their troops in the Afghan capital by as many as 6,500 men. In the northeast of the country, they're getting pledges of support from mountain tribes. These pictures were smuggled out of Afghanistan today. They show local tribesmen who say they're veterans of the 10-year war against the Russians, now willing to fight America. Their weapons appear to be from the 1980s Soviet era, but they do know the terrain, and that could be an invaluable advantage against foreign soldiers operating here. With Afghan opposition groups now receiving American funds, this country is shaping up for a sustained battle with or without an American attack. Tom?
NBC's Tom Aspel tonight in Afghanistan. Now to our terrorism task force. NBC's Pete Williams is in Washington tonight with more leads from the money trail. And they are paying off for investigators. Pete?
Indeed so, Tom. Federal officials tonight say they're especially eager to find a man who received several $1,000s from the hijackers just before their attacks, as they appeared to be emptying out their bank accounts.
3 days before the suicide flights, officials say, hijacker Mohammed Atta went to this Maryland supermarket and used a money order to send $5,000 overseas to a man in the United Arab Emirates. That same day, 2 other hijackers also sent $5,000 payments to the same man. Federal agents identify him as Mustafa Ahmad and say he left the UAE for Pakistan the day of the hijackings, finding him now a top priority for the FBI. Tonight, the Bush administration is taking a fresh look at Muslim charities operating in the U.S. to see whether any money they raise for aid to Muslim refugees around the world ends up helping bin Laden's terror network instead. The lawyer for one charity group based in Illinois says they're now unfairly singled out.
I think that Muslim organizations, including the Global Relief Foundation, have become a scapegoat in the United States because of the tensions, the heightened tensions since September 11th.
But a terrorism expert says bin Laden has a history of diverting charitable contributions.
In some cases, the charities were used as a means of transferring funds. In other cases, they were used as a means of providing cover and getting visas for people so they could move from one country to another.
And new details tonight on hijacker Mohammed Atta's will left behind at the Boston airport in one of his suitcases, a detailed description of the rituals he wanted for his burial. A copy sent to German investigators by the FBI and obtained by the magazine Der Spiegel reveals it was written in 1996 and makes no apparent reference to the hijackings. In it, Atta says he does not want to be a martyr. He asks to be buried with other Muslims on his right side in 3 layers of simple white cloth and facing Mecca. But he adds, no pregnant women or untouchables should pay their last respects, and no women should visit his grave.
And tonight, officials tell NBC News they now believe a large number of people overseas in the dozens helped to plan the hijackings. Tom?
Pete, what are their expectations about this money trail leading directly to Osama bin Laden?
Well, senior government officials tell NBC News they believe it will lead to him, but they haven't made that final connection yet, Tom.
All right, thanks very much. NBC's Pete Williams at the Justice Department tonight. On Capitol Hill, leaders of both parties are working on a compromise legislation the Attorney General says the U.S. law enforcement needs to fight back and to catch the terrorists and their helpers. But there are bipartisan objections that the bill goes too far, that some Arab Americans are already being treated unfairly. Here's NBC's Lisa Myers.
Abdullah Yassin's family is desperate. The Lebanese immigrant was arrested 16 days ago as he arrived for work at Dulles Airport, where he's a baggage handler.
They took my dad for no reason. He didn't do nothing wrong.
Since then, his family says he's been held without bond, in shackles, for a minor immigration violation.
When he calls on the phone, he's very upset. He does not know why he's being held.
Today, more than 500 people are in custody, detained in an investigation that critics complain has sometimes violated basic civil liberties.
We have seen the government stepping over the bounds of the law, stretching the law to the breaking point and beyond.
And all this has intensified concerns in Congress about vast new powers which the Attorney General says are needed to prevent more attacks, but which many liberals and conservatives argue go way too far.
We will protect our security, but we won't give up our constitutional liberties to do it.
The Attorney General's most controversial proposals: new powers to monitor activities and email on the Internet, conduct searches without notice, and detain foreigners indefinitely without even charging them with a crime. Key Democrats call this overkill.
Hysteria is not going to be the order of the day.
The issue has created strange political bedfellows. Lined up against the bill, both extremes. Maxine Waters on the left, Bob Barr on the right.
The reasons why mistakes seem to have been made that allowed the events of September 11th to happen have nothing to do with the government not having sufficient power.
Tonight, senior members of Congress say the administration eventually will get a lot of what it wants with limits, including streamlined authority to wiretap suspects wherever they go. No one here wants to be seen as having dragged their feet if terrorists strike again. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
And another step back to normalcy for Washington. NBC's White House correspondent David Gregory is reporting tonight that President Bush now has authorized the reopening of Reagan National Airport with new security measures in place. The official announcement could come as early as tomorrow, but there will be limitations on air traffic. It could take at least several more days for the airport to be up and running again because of security reviews. National is the only airport that didn't reopen after the terrorist attacks. The flight path in and out takes planes right over many of Washington's most sensitive buildings, including the Pentagon, the White House, and the Capitol. I'll be right back with NBC's day-long special series, Being Prepared, as the government warns there could be more terrorist attacks. What should Americans do? It's important information for you and your family.
Yoo-hoo! Take that laxative and you miss the bus. Huh? It contains harsh stimulants. Says on the label it could cause abdominal discomfort and cramps.
Sounds worse than constipation.
Oh, you bet. But Phillips is different. It's gentle and stimulant-free, so you don't have to feel worse before you feel better.
That's great.
Excuse me?
I said the bus is late.
Phillips, the comfortable way.
Ziploc containers test number 3. With our new divided containers, a sandwich, salad, and brownie doesn't turn into a brownie salad sandwich. Ziploc, all you ever wanted in a container.
My doctor says I'm healthier than he is. I swim every day. It takes your mind off your troubles.
If you suffer from arthritis pain, speak to your doctor.
The lake is good for your soul.
Tylenol Arthritis Pain, the strength to provide all-day relief with just 2 caplets. And it's gentler on your stomach.
When I swim, I'm free.
Tylenol Arthritis Pain.
Ouch! Pain again? I thought your dentist said brush with Sensodyne every day.
I stopped when the pain stopped.
Keep using it. It keeps working.
Sensodyne every day. Now try Sensodyne Tartar Control Plus Whitening every day.
Be adventurous. Be plugged in. Be involved. Be powerful. Be yourself. Because it's your choice, your voice, and your attitude. Today's AARP.
Dateline Monday. In a nation desperate for answers, sometimes the innocent pay the price. The incredible story of a respected doctor with the wrong name at the wrong time. An all-new Dateline tonight, 9, 8 Central. Plus, the truth about being prepared. Special reports all day on NBC News.
NBC News in depth tonight and all day long here on NBC. How to prepare for the worst, the possibility of another attack. Even senators are talking openly about that possibility of a biological warfare attack of some kind. But what preparations make sense and what only add to the anxiety? Here's NBC's national correspondent Jim Avila tonight in depth.
Separate it, pull it on the back over your head.
It's the fear of what's next.
It'll fit up like that and just pull it back to the front.
Okay. Americans buying gas masks for an attack they could not imagine just 3 weeks ago.
I think I'm just scared.
But now many feel they must prepare. Manhattan's Julie Benlevy, a 30-year-old fashion photographer living within a mile of the last terrorist attack, buying gas masks for the next.
I'd rather have them. I just would rather feel safe, and if they work, they work.
The problem, say experts, is that as America panics, it turns in the wrong direction to prepare.
The use of the gas mask would be of no use. Most people would have no awareness that they have been exposed to any biological substance, and therefore they would not be able to use the gas mask.
What's a waste of money? Expensive gas masks are effective only if the owner knows an attack is coming or wears it all the time. Full-body hazardous material suits, complete protection for $200. Experts say improper use can be dangerous and 40 hours of training are needed. Antibiotics, $5 a pill for Cipro, the cure for anthrax exposure. But taking it in advance may build a tolerance, making it useless when it's really needed.
I'm afraid people will not wait until the Public Health Service tells them to take their antibiotics.
Experts say the best preparation is to calmly think ahead. A biological chemical attack could happen, but it's very difficult for terrorists to spread poisons over a wide area. So, says security expert Ben Vensky, if there is a biochemical attack, go home.
Turn off your air conditioning. Turn on the radio, turn on the television, and listen for what specific direction you're being given.
He recommends a safe room in the house. The Israelis have had them for years. One room sealed in plastic and duct tape, laden with emergency supplies.
These basic essentials that you should have in the event of a tornado or hurricane or anything else.
The Red Cross recommends a disaster kit with basics from bottled water to non-perishable food, flashlight, radio, batteries, goggles, mask, blanket, and a first aid kit. Because experts say fighting a silent killer is best done not in a panic spending spree, but calmly at home. Jim Avila, NBC News, New York.
For more information on being prepared, you can log on to msnbc.com. And coming up next, first-hand impressions of Osama bin Laden from a man who's known him personally.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me, 'cause you heard of the sign that I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying, come back and see me. Yesterday, you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today till I say I'm sorry. It's the finest of the flavors. And to see the show, 'cause then you know the girl going down my door and the banger if you like to sign a waiver. I have a tendency to wear my mind up my sleeve. I had this it's been 1 week since you looked at me, dropped your ass to the side and said I'm sorry.
29, 30.
Now at Red Lobster, you can get 30 mouth-watering shrimp for just $9.99. Red Lobster, go overboard.
Orville Redenbacher presents How to Get Orvilleized. 1. Don appropriately comfortable clothes. 2. Pop mega bowl of Orville's gourmet popping corn. 3. Allow body to fall backward. Elevate feet. 4. Locate remote. 5. Pop fluffy kernel into mouth. Repeat, 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 repeat. 6. Move over.
Orville.
You've got company. Note, this only works with Orville Redenbacher's gourmet popping corn. So get some and get Orvilleized.
Introducing new Kellogg's Special K Red Berry cereal. Crunchy sweet flakes, now with slices of real strawberries, right in the box. Looking good, never tasted so great. Kellogg's Special K Red Berries. It's new.
No can, no fork, no grill. It's the easiest way to a juicy grilled meal your cat can't resist. New from Whiskas.
I do enjoy the pleasures of the grill.
Yeah, I can see that. Whiskas, what cats want.
We want to live in our home,
Not a nursing home.
We want our children to care about us.
Not for us.
I want to grow old gracefully.
With dignity.
All good intentions, but help make them a reality with long-term care insurance from GE. GE gives you options, like care in your own home, to help preserve your independence and life savings.
I want my grandchildren to inherit more.
More than just memories.
For long-term care insurance, think of GE.
Tomorrow on Today, if anyone can make us laugh, it's these guys. 2 of comedy's biggest names team up to help the relief effort. Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock, live in our studio only on Today.
Come fly with America's best. NBC Nightly News tomorrow.
In Washington today, the first Monday in October, the justices of the U.S. Supreme Court open a new term on schedule, and they suspended former President Bill Clinton from practicing law before their court. It's a standard practice now that Mr. Clinton has been disbarred in Arkansas. He does have 40 days to ask that the suspension be lifted. Today's session also began with a moment in memory of the victims of the September 11th attacks. On the other side of the world, there are at least 29 victims tonight of a suicide car bomb just outside the legislature in the Indian-controlled state of Kashmir. Most of those killed were civilians. An Islamic militant group fighting for Kashmir's independence is claiming responsibility. The United States has condemned the attack, but has no comment tonight on India's accusations that Pakistan gave help to the bombers. A key player in all of this for the United States, of course, is Saudi Arabia, the home country of Osama bin Laden, and also the home country of Muslims' most sacred sites. Saudi Arabia has taken the unusual step of breaking off diplomatic relations with the Taliban. And tonight, NBC Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell sat down with Saudi Arabia's point man in Washington, a man with a unique personal view of Osama bin Laden.
Saudi Arabia's ambassador, Prince Bandar bin Sultan, warns that the U.S. should limit its initial attack to Osama bin Laden and the Taliban, or else risk losing its Arab coalition.
I think we should not overload the circuit. And I think it's too early to see what else needs to be done.
But he suggests the U.S. will be able to use American forces from this Saudi airbase when asked, contradicting remarks by his own father, the Saudi defense minister, who said the Saudi base cannot be used to attack Muslims.
We want to keep our focus on the bad guys. Let's not divert ourselves with no-issue issues and make it look like it's an argument. We don't have an argument with our American friends. We are totally in sync on what needs to be done.
So many of the hijackers are either Saudi or have some Saudi connections. This has to be disturbing to you.
It is extremely disturbing to me, to my leadership, to my people.
But the Saudi ambassador says many of the terrorists use false Saudi identities or claim to be legitimate dissenters.
And my answer is, if it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, is it a duck or isn't it a duck? Those people are not advocating Jeffersonian democracy. Those people want to take us 1,000 years back.
What about the most notorious Saudi of all, Osama bin Laden? Prince Bandar met him before he became a terrorist.
I think he had unhappy childhood. I think he was a black sheep of the family in a way. And for a while, we thought his religious leanings were positive things. It is just when something flipped inside of him and became a cult.
But what is bin Laden's appeal for young recruits like these?
Why do they hate us so much?
They don't only hate you. They hate you, they hate us. When you are the only game in town, we are the most powerful nation in the world and the richest. That causes certain sensitivity.
The ambassador denies that bin Laden's wealthy family is still funneling money to him. But bin Laden's mother has visited him, and the Saudis can't be sure that other wealthy individuals aren't helping him through charitable fronts. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
Wall Street today, not much movement for a change. The Dow closed down almost 11 points on the day. NASDAQ was down more than 18 points. Next, how a chance meeting just before the nation's tragedy made a dream come true.
After the 270 horsepower Chevy Trailblazer, everything else just seems kind of weak. The all-new Chevy Trailblazer, like a rock.
Glade Plug-in's Extra Outlet has the extra outlet built right in. So you can make any room in your home Glade fresh without blocking your outlets. Plug-in's Extra Outlet, fresh from Glade.
Plug it in, plug.
Hello? Ocean Spray introduces the less tart taste of white cranberry.
Uh-oh.
Great for drinking.
Kevin?
Even better for spilling. You've never tasted anything quite like white. New white cranberry from Ocean Spray. Brave the wave. Brave the wave.
This weekend, Enterprise Rent-A-Car announces special low rates from just $9.99 a day. Friday till Monday from just $9.99 a day. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
1-800-RENT-A-CAR.
Now there's an even better way to stay in touch with your friends around the world. Get the AT&T One-Rate International Savings Plan. You'll get low rates to whatever country you can't resist calling, anytime. That's right, anytime. Day or night, anywhere in the world. Just call 1-800-523-WORLD. Great low rates worldwide with no time restrictions. So if you want to call your friend Ben in Canada or Harvey in Argentina, go ahead. But first call us at 1-800-523-WORLD and let us talk to you about the AT&T One-Rate International Savings Plan. One simple call gets you low rates 24/7 from the international calling experts. To enroll now, call 1-800-523-WORLD and say hi to all the buds, mates, amigos, and ex-boyfriends in your world. The AT&T One-Rate International Savings Plan. Call now.
Tomorrow on Today in LA starting at 5 a.m.
America on alert. The war of words continues to escalate. More U.S. troops deployed to the Middle East. All the latest on the developments you missed overnight.
Plus, a new non-invasive test to help detect a deadly form of cancer. You'll see how this virtual procedure is safer and less painful than traditional tests.
Tomorrow morning on Today in LA starting at 5 a.m.
There are so many stories of loss and heroism, courage and coincidence growing out of the attacks of September 11th. We may never know them all. But tonight, NBC's Bob Faw has one story that will linger for a long, long time.
Software salesman Rob Quillen in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Jason Dahl of Littleton, Colorado were total strangers, passengers sitting together on a flight to Newark, September the 10th.
Talked about family, talked about jobs and careers and goals and dreams and just everything.
Including their mutual hero, NASCAR superstar Jeff Gordon. When Dahl said his son Matt dreamed of meeting Gordon, Quillen invited both father and son to sit with him at Gordon's next race. Then, September 11th, hijacked UAL Flight 93 crashes in the Pennsylvania countryside, killing all aboard, including pilot Jason Dahl.
I absolutely made it a mission of mine that I have to get Jason's son, to see Jeff Gordon.
So Quillen wrote the Dahl family, renewing his invitation, and only when Matt said yes did Quillen wonder, how does one even set up a meeting with a sports legend?
A lot of my friends said, it's never going to happen. And I said, contraire, it's going to happen.
And happen it did yesterday in Kansas City. Thanks to Rob Quillen, Matt Dahl went to chapel service with Jeff Gordon. Later, even got some quality time right there in the pit.
No, you got the greatest car you can buy.
Jeff Gordon also dedicated this race to Matt Dahl.
We're just thrilled to have him here with us this weekend.
And as Matt watched up there in the catbird seat, his patron watched from afar, convinced
God put Jason on that flight to tell me the dream for Matt. And he put me on that flight next to Jason so that I could hear that dream.
You know how the story ends. Jeff Gordon roars to victory.
Jeff Gordon is your winner.
Fulfilling the wish of a son and an absent father, and the vow of a good Samaritan that a dream would not die. Bob Faw, NBC News, Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's Nightly News for Monday. A reminder, there is a wealth of detailed information on the terrorist attacks on MSNBC.com in the section behind the headlines. And don't forget Dateline tonight at 9, 8 Central. New details on how a terror attack against a major American airport was stopped less than 2 years ago. I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Next on Extra, why Sharon Stone had to be rushed to the hospital. Then the strict security for J-Lo's wedding guest, and Dennis Quaid Unplugged.
NBC Tonight begins with an all-new Celebrity Weakest Link with classic TV stars of the past.
Who's headed for cancellation again?
The heroes of Flight 93. Dateline, NBC Next.